human diplomatic courier Marcus Webb, was summoned to the Ethran royal palace with minimal explanation, just a formal request to attend a private audience in a sealed chamber. No details about purpose, no indication of what was expected, just an instruction to arrive promptly and come alone. Marcus had worked diplomatic courier routes for 3 years, and unusual summons weren't rare. But this felt different. The formal security protocols, the private chamber rather than public audience hall, the tension visible in the palace guards who escorted him. The chamber was small by palace standards, elegant but intimate, designed for family gatherings rather than state functions. Queen Solara stood near a window, her posture suggesting careful composure. Beside her stood a young Ethran girl, perhaps 12 years old, wearing robes that marked her as royal family. Marcus bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, you summoned me." Before the queen could respond, the young girl's eyes fixed on Marcus with sudden recognition. Her composure, the careful dignity royal children were trained to maintain, shattered completely. "Mother." She breathed, her voice carrying shock and absolute certainty. "It's him, it's him." She ran forward before anyone could stop her, throwing her arms around Marcus with the unself-conscious joy of someone who'd found something precious they'd thought lost forever. Marcus froze, completely uncertain how to respond. Royal protocol absolutely forbade physical contact, but the girl was already clinging to him with desperate strength. Queen Solara stared at them with expression carrying complexity Marcus couldn't fully read, shock mixed with recognition, carefully controlled emotion threatening to break through. "Lissa," the queen said, her voice tight. "You are certain?" "Yes." The girl, Lissa, apparently looked up at Marcus with eyes shining with tears. "It's the human from Helios Station, the one who saved me, the one I told you about, the kind stranger who stayed with me and made me feel safe." Marcus felt memory clicking into place, fragmented and vague, because it had seemed so unremarkable at the time. 4 years earlier, Marcus had been on Helios Station during a stopover between courier routes. The civilian transport hub was crowded, hundreds of beings from dozens of species moving through transit areas. He'd noticed a young Ethran girl who seemed lost and frightened, standing alone near a departure gate while crowds flowed past her. She wore simple traveling clothes, nothing suggesting nobility or wealth, just a scared kid who looked like she needed help. Marcus had approached carefully, kneeling to her level. "Hey, are you okay? Are you lost?" The girl had stared at him with wide, frightened eyes and nodded. "Can you tell me who you're traveling with? We'll find them together." Through broken standard and tears, she'd explained that she'd gotten separated from her family during boarding chaos, that she didn't know which gate they'd left through, that she was terrified they'd left without her. Marcus had stayed with her, speaking calmly, keeping her from panicking, helping her describe her family to station security. He'd shared snacks he'd bought, told her stories about different worlds he'd visited as a courier, anything to keep her calm and distracted from her fear. When the frantic search party finally found them, adults in discreet security attire who'd clearly been terrified something had happened to her, they'd been profusely grateful in ways that suggested this child was more important than Marcus had realized. The girl had hugged Marcus tightly before leaving, but he'd never learned her name or understood the full context. Just another lost kid helped, the kind of thing any decent person would do. He'd thought nothing more of it. Present. Marcus looked down at Lissa clinging to him, at Queen Solara's carefully controlled expression, understanding dawning with uncomfortable clarity. "You were at Helios Station," Marcus said to Lissa. "You were separated from your family and scared. I stayed with you until they found you." "You didn't leave me," Lissa said, her voice muffled against his chest. "Everyone else walked past, but you stopped. You helped me even though I was just a stranger. You shared your food and told me stories and promised you'd stay until my family came, and you did." She looked at her mother. "This is him. The human I've been trying to find for 4 years. The one who was kind when I was frightened." Queen Solara's carefully maintained composure was cracking visibly. Marcus Webb, you are the courier who helped my daughter at Helios Station 4 years ago. I helped a lost child, Marcus confirmed. I didn't know she was a princess. She was just someone who needed help. Exactly, Solara said, her voice carrying weight. You helped her without knowing her identity, without expecting reward, purely from compassion. That character is what my daughter has been describing to me for 4 years, the kind human stranger who stayed with her when she was scared. She descended from her position near the window, approaching Marcus with movements suggesting she was processing profound emotion. Do you understand what happened that day? My daughter was being targeted by political rivals who hoped to kidnap her as leverage against me. She was deliberately separated from her security detail through coordinated distraction. She was meant to be taken. Marcus felt his stomach drop. I had no idea. I just thought she'd gotten lost in the crowd. Which is precisely why your actions matter so profoundly, Solara said. You protected her without knowing the danger, without knowing who she was, without calculating advantage. You simply saw a frightened child and stayed with her until she was safe. She looked at her daughter, still holding Marcus. Lissa has spoken of you every day since that incident. She's described you in such detail that we created portraits trying to identify you. She called you the brave human who stayed, and insisted you were the kindest person she'd ever met. Solara's voice grew more emotional. We have been searching for you for 4 years. We knew you were a human courier working the outer routes, but without your name or specific identification, finding you among thousands of couriers proved impossible. And now you walk into my palace for entirely unrelated reasons, and my daughter recognizes you immediately. She looked at Marcus directly. Do you know what would have happened if you had not stayed with Lissa? If you had been like everyone else who walked past her? She would have been taken, Marcus said quietly, understanding. And you would have faced impossible choices about how to respond to hostage situations. My daughter would have been used as leverage to force political concessions that would have destabilized our entire government, Solara confirmed. Your simple act of helping a frightened child prevented a crisis that could have resulted in thousands of deaths. She extended her hand in formal Ethran gesture. Marcus Webb, by the ancient laws governing our people, I recognize you as guardian friend to the royal house. You saved my daughter through compassion and courage, earning trust that cannot be given through diplomacy or purchased through alliance. You have our eternal gratitude and recognition. Over the following days, as Marcus navigated his unexpected elevation from anonymous courier to recognized guardian friend, he began to understand what that single act of kindness had truly meant. Lissa made sure everyone knew about the human who stayed, telling anyone who would listen about how Marcus had helped her when she was scared, how he'd shared his food and told her stories, how he'd promised not to leave until her family came, and kept that promise despite having no obligation. During a private conversation, Solara revealed more. When Lissa was returned to us that day, safe because you stayed with her and prevented her from being taken, she told us everything about the kind human courier. She described how you knelt to her level, how you kept her calm, how you made her feel safe when she was terrified. Solara's voice grew emotional. She has talked about you constantly for 4 years. Not because you're impressive or powerful, but because you were kind when she was frightened. That compassion, that simple humanity, is what she recognized the moment she saw you in this chamber. I just did what anyone should do, Marcus said. But not everyone does, Solara responded. You stopped when others walked past. You stayed when others would have found excuses to leave. You helped without knowing who you were helping or what reward you might receive. That character deserves to be recognized and honored. When Marcus's diplomatic courier assignment concluded, and he prepared to leave Ethran space, Lissa gave him a carved pendant, traditional Ethran craftsmanship depicting a guardian figure with a child. So you remember, she said quietly, that you're the human who stayed, That you're someone I trust completely because you earned that trust before you knew I was someone important. That you changed everything by being kind when I needed kindness. Some bonds are forged through careful diplomatic negotiation, some through shared hardship and mutual survival, and some are created in transport hubs when someone stops to help a frightened child, staying with them through fear simply because it's the right thing to do, proving that the most consequential connections often form through ordinary kindness offered when no one is watching and nothing is expected in return. The courier who helped a lost girl discovered that compassion given without knowledge or expectation can echo across years and reshape